One of the greatest determinants of future health outcomes is whether the child and the mother have interrupted bonds, whether the child and mother have been separated from each other for certain periods of time where that limbic resonance couldn't materialize. We know from multiple studies that children who are given up to foster homes at a very early age do not develop the right prefrontal cortex and an adequate sense of trust and an adequate sense of ego self. They remain highly instinctual and highly susceptible to all the behaviors of criminal outcomes if they don't have good enough mothering in the early developmental years. And it only has to be good enough mothering. It only has to be good enough about 30%. If the mother's not there to see the child and the emotional part of the brain isn't in limbic resonance between the mother and child, the child doesn't develop an independent sense of safety and trust. And the ego development gets interrupted through the stress response. It initiates a stress signal that then myelinates the brain and the autonomic nervous system, sometimes permanently in a habituated stress response that becomes the default mechanism of the child to deal with all the stresses of their life through the first developmental phases. Once they see a stressor, they default to the stress response, they default to the anxiety manifestation, to palpitations and fast pulse and hyperhidrosis and sweating, because the stress response gets activated.